May I sleep in your cabin, sir? It's freezing outside, the native woman begged the cowboy. The wind arrived first, sharp, uninvited, and cruel, slicing through the pines like a warning. By the time Elias Turner latched the cabin door for the night, snow had already swallowed the trail back to town. Winter in the high country didn't knock. It took. Elias was pouring coffee when the knock came anyway. It was soft, almost swallowed by the storm. He froze, listening. Another knock followed, trembling, human. Elias set the mug down and opened the door to a wall of white, and a woman standing in it like a question the world had forgotten to answer. She was wrapped in a thin wool shawl dusted with snow. Her dark hair was braided, stiff with ice, and her cheeks burned red from the cold. She looked young and old at the same time, eyes steady but exhausted, as if they had learned patience the hard way. "Sir," she said, voice hoarse but calm, "may I sleep in your cabin? It's freezing outside." Elias hesitated. The silence stretched between them, filled with the hiss of snow. He noticed her hands shaking, the way her boots barely held together. He also noticed the necklace at her chest, beads and feathers, carefully kept, even now. "I don't have much," he said finally. She met his gaze. "I don't need much." He stepped aside. The cabin was small. One room, a table, a stove, and a bed he hadn't shared since his wife passed 3 winters earlier. Elias added wood to the fire while the woman stood near the door, unsure where to place herself, like a guest who had learned not to assume welcome. "My name is Mara," she said quietly. "Elias." He handed her a blanket. Their fingers brushed. Hers were ice. She sat near the stove, sighing as warmth returned to her bones. For a while, they said nothing. Outside, the storm raged, but inside the cabin, something gentler took shape, an uneasy peace. "You're far from the reservation," Elias said, not unkindly. Mara nodded. "My grandmother is sick. I was walking to the river town for medicine. The storm came faster than I expected." Elias looked at the door, imagining the dark, the cold, the miles she'd already crossed. He poured another cup of coffee and slid it toward her. "You can take the bed," he said. She shook her head quickly. "No. I'll sleep by the fire." "That's not a request," he replied, surprising himself with the firmness in his voice. "That's me being human." Something flickered in her eyes, gratitude mixed with caution. She accepted. As the night deepened, the storm pressed closer, rattling the windows. Elias lay awake on the floor, staring at the ceiling beams. Memories crept in, uninvited, his wife's laughter, the child they never had, the way loneliness had settled into him like dust. A sudden cough broke the silence. Then another. Elias sat up. Mara was trembling, sweat shining on her brow despite the cold. Her breathing was shallow, uneven. "Hey," he said, crossing the room. "What's wrong?" She tried to answer but doubled over instead. Elias touched her forehead, burning hot. Panic rose in his chest. He had seen sickness before, seen it take strong men down faster than winter ever could. He stoked the fire, wrapped her in more blankets, remembered what his wife used to do, cool water, steady words, patience. "Stay with me," he whispered, though he wasn't sure who he was saying it to. Hours passed. The storm eased, but the battle inside the cabin did not. Mara drifted in and out of consciousness, murmuring words Elias didn't understand. At dawn, when the light finally broke through the clouds, she opened her eyes and looked at him. "You stayed," she said. "Of course I did." Tears slid silently into her hair. "Most wouldn't." Elias swallowed. "Most are wrong." When the storm cleared enough to travel, Elias hitched his horse and wrapped Mara in his thickest coat. He rode with her to the river town, waited outside the clinic, pacing like a man with something precious on the line. The doctor said she would live. Relief hit Elias so hard he had to sit down. Before they parted, Mara reached into her pouch and pressed the beaded necklace into his hand. "I can't take this," he said. "You must," she replied. "It belonged to my grandmother. She said it should be given to someone who remembers what kindness costs, and gives it anyway." Weeks passed. Winter loosened its grip. Elias returned to his routines, but something had shifted. He found himself leaving food by the trail. Opening his door more often. Listening. In early spring, a knock came again. Mara stood there, stronger now, eyes bright. Behind her were others, men, women, children, carrying lumber, tools, laughter. "We came to help you rebuild the south fence," she said. "And to invite you." "To what?" Elias asked. "To belong," she answered. Elias looked at the people, at the open road behind them, at the cabin that no longer felt quite so empty. He felt the weight of the necklace at his chest and understood, at last, that kindness doesn't end when the storm passes. Sometimes, it becomes the shelter. And sometimes, all it takes to change a life, or many, is opening a door when the world is cold and someone dares to knock.